Hello, it's Duncan. When we implemented the last feature, which was backstage passes for Gilded Rose, we established that there was some thing going on with quality. So we looked at the stories we'd had so far, that age Brie was capped at 50 and backstage passes were capped at 50 and so on. And that quality could never be below 0. And we thought there must be something going on here with some rules, we might call them invariants, about the domain. And so we spoke to the customer, and she said, well, as far as she could see at this stage, these were the rules: that no item could ever have negative quality, that no item should have its quality raised above 0 by updating, but that she might take items into stock that had a quality over 50, in which case they should just go down in quality, never up, so just ratchet downwards. Now at the moment those rules are spread around our code, and we'd like it that we couldn't break them except deliberately. So we'd like to express them in our code, in our type system if we can, so that future us can't break these rules without knowing that's what they're doing and probably going back to the customer. So let's have a look at implementing this story of quality caps. Now when I say this information is spread around our code at the moment, what I mean is that we have these magic numbers, a 0 and a 50, spread around. So in item, we had this hard requirement that you can't build an item, you can't copy it, you can't call it constructor, you can't do anything with it, where that would lead to a quality less than 0. And because we can't change the quality of an actual item, it's immutable, we can create a new one, but we can't change the quality of an item. This will always kick in when we create an item, and so we know that we cannot create items with a negative quality. As for these other bits though, well, this 50 is expressed in a bunch of places in updating. You'll see here in update Brie, we had this coerce at most 50, update pass, we had this coerce at most 50, and update standard, we had this coerce at least 0. So these are the items that can increase in quality, and these normal items decrease in quality, and so those are where our 0s and 50s are. Now some people might have brought these out, said these are magic numbers, and they would probably be right. So let's go ahead and see what we can do with moving these magic numbers into our item class so that they apply to every item. And our leverage here is that we had this with quality method, which is the way that we get an item with a revised quality. So everything has to go through this method. And so we could put some code in here. Looking back at our requirement, it says here no item should have its quality raised above 0 by updating. And we know that the only way that those qualities are updated is through this with quality method. So let's write ourselves a test to show the behavior we want. We've got our updating tests, and our requirement says no item should have its quality raised above 0 by updating. So let's just take that statement, shall we, and create ourselves a test for it. So what does this mean? Well, if we took an item that had a quality of 50 and we said with quality 51, should we fail or should we have an item with a quality of 50? I think the answer is that we should have an item with a quality of 50, so that this is a sort of special function that caps things. So if we run all our tests, everything's okay except that we haven't expressed this in our code. Before we go on though, this isn't a very friendly session failure here, and that's because when we last let item we had just changed it from a data class, implemented equals and hashcode ourselves, but not put in toString. So let's ask IntelliJ to do that for us. And of these things, our toString should probably have the name and the sell by date and the quality. This updater is a function type and won't print well. That's something we'll address in another episode, I think. It's a shame that IntelliJ doesn't use a single expression function for toStrings. If we fix that, So we don't pass the test, but we do at least get a better feel for why things have failed. So we haven't implemented a quality cap in our with quality. Let's go and do that. Go to item, and with quality, what we want here is to coerce the quality to be at most 50. Let's run that. Now that makes our test pass, but makes a whole bunch of other tests fail. Let's have a look at those. Here you'll see we've got some items whose quality started as 100 and we've now dropped them to 50. Now, that's actually against the requirement that says items can be taken into stock with greater than 50 quality and then degrade gradually. So we'd like to fix that. These were 100, they should stay 100. So what does that mean? Let's look in our item and let's pull this out into a variable so we can think about it. And this is going to be our quality cap. Now, what do we want our quality cap to be? Well, we want it to be the maximum of the existing quality and 50. So if it's already above 50, it can stay there. And then what we're actually going to do is we're going to coerce the quality we put in here to that cap. Let's just see whether it passes everything. That does, that's much nicer. Now, IntelliJ tells us that it would rather we used coerce at least in there. So let's do that. But we'll leave this as a variable to explain what it is we're doing. Okay, good. Now we've got our test passing. It would have been nice had we had a specific test that failed that pointed us to that problem. So let's go back to our tests here and duplicate this one and say items can keep above 50. So in other words, if we started with 55, we could have a quality of 54, and that would give us 54. Well, that's true because the code we've already written. And it would also be true that we could set it to 55. So let's just check that edge case. Okay. And now maybe we don't have an expression of this degrade gradually thing. It probably falls out of the code we've written, but let's just write ourselves a test that shows that as well. There's items with a quality above 50 degrade gradually. And we're going to want to degrade them. Well, we can degrade with the updated by. So let's take one of these, for example. So we say that if we have a banana whose quality is 52, and we update it by a day on October 29th, its quality should be 51. Good. And we should go from 51 to 50. And we'll put in that little edge case again, as we usually do, of if we make it degrade after its sell-by date. So it goes down by 2. If it started on 51, it should still go down to 49. So for some of these things, we want to think like a QA, find those little edge cases. Okay, that's good. Now we should be able to remove some code from updating that was doing the cursing for us. So we should be able to remove this coerce at most 50. And another one down here. So what we're doing is we are making sure that people who write update methods don't have to worry about the rules, don't have to know the rules, because the rules are expressed somewhere else. Now we've just got this coerce at least 0 here, which we'd also like to move up. So let's add ourselves a test for that. And I think it's probably like this, that it is no item should have its quality reduced below 0 by updating. And so if we had an item with quality of, I don't know, 2, and we said it should be -1, then the quality should stick at 0. Let's run that. We haven't got an implementation for it. Go into item, and now in here we've got coerce in. So it would be coerce in 0 and the quality cap. Good, which should allow us to remove this coerce from here. And now these are a little bit useless. Oh, tiny fix. Good. Now the changes this with quality method, of course, won't stop an update method creating a new item with any old quality. But I think we've probably done due diligence here. Maybe one last test though, which is that we should show that we can't create an item in the first place with a quality of greater than 0. So you might ask, should we cap the same way as we do with the with quality? So that if somebody tries to create an item with a quality of -7, it gets capped at 0. And I think the answer is, I don't think so. I think that creating items is a special case, and somebody who created an item that was simply out of range should know, and that should be throwing an exception. So we'll just show that in standard update tests, which is something like this one. We're going to say, well, let's write a test from scratch. Test fun. Cannot create an item with negative quality. And what does that mean? It means that if you try to do that, I suspect it's a legal state exception. Item of and check that's true. I was wrong. We actually got an illegal argument exception. That will do. Okay, so now we've moved our rules out of updating. Our functions in updating don't have to worry about them, and everyone that deals with items should be subject to those restrictions, which is just what we want, really. Let's have a look, see what we've changed. We've changed item, we've changed the test, and we've changed updating, which is exactly what we expect. So we have implemented another story, which is quality caps. Good. This is quite an interesting story, really, because we haven't implemented any functionality that the customer can see, but we've had a conversation, and so we're sharing a domain model with our customer, which will help her understand software development and help us understand her business. Talking of domain models, I think next time we'll go and have a look at this item class, which is, I don't know, it still feels a little bit shaky. Some of you will see that I did a video with Tim Schleppen where we looked at making subclasses of item, and I think next time we'll go and look at this data model and see how well it's serving us and whether we could do a better job. If you'd like to see that, then please subscribe. If you'd like this, then please like with the button. And if you have enjoyed it, I think you'll probably enjoy the book that I wrote with Nat Price called Java to Kotlin, a refactoring guidebook, details of which are in the show notes. Thank you very much for watching.